Ampharos is the 6th boss of the 2025 Lunar New Year event in PokeMMO. Pretty challenging. Let's just get right into it. As per usual, locations are on screen. Pause if you do need them. The recommended one is Kanto Route 10. Just fly to the power plant and it is right there. Couldn't be easier. Definitely the one you should use if you have Kanto region done. The mechanics make this one pretty challenging. The main thing to note is that there is a stat reduction barrier, prevents its stats from being lowered. That includes hazing off the following abilities: Cotton Guard, Agility, and the Pitaya Berry, giving it special attack boost. It will cosmetically show that the boosts are gone, but the stats will remain the same. So even though it looks like you've dealt with it, you haven't actually. So it makes using physical attackers especially challenging because that Cotton Guard gives it +3 defense. You have Whimsicott add setting Tailwind, then it gets the agility at the end, so it's outspeeding. Basically, the only thing that you can counterplay by clicking specifically is the light screen with a defog. So that's going to be what you're going to want to deal with it. And that kind of sets up for an interesting compositional choice. There are 2 ways of approaching the raid. The commonality between both is special type ground attackers. Nidoking, Nidoqueen, you can bring both. They are separate evo lines, despite the fact that they can breed with each other. If you have a modest Flygon, that's great. If you, for some reason, have a special attacking Garchomp, also works. This is because that Cotton Guard makes it especially difficult to deal physical damage. The physical ground type attackers can still work. I recommend setting Sand if you're going to use them and using Sand Force Excadrill. Otherwise, it could be beneficial to use Sun special attackers later on in the fight. If you can go either way. The ground types have the advantage of being bulkier. They're immune to 2 of its moves in Discharge and Thunderbolt. They can live longer, but they're going to do very little damage. They're going to be doing like 2 to 3% chipping away at the boss. Excadrill lives a really long time, so Sandforce Excadrill might be the best option. You could, if you have Sun, it might be a better option. Let's say you're lacking Excadrill and you get wiped and you don't do enough damage. Consider a hybrid of Sun and Ground. So using your Sun special attackers later to deal with all of the Cotton Guard, and you'll just have to worry about defogging that light screen. So one of the 2 options, I'm going to show you both fights and you can kind of see which one would be better off, like whatever your comp allows for, just presenting both. And just to show its moveset really quickly, Dragon Pulse, Signal Beam, Discharge, and Thunderbolt. This is always linked in the guide in the description. You can see Excadrill resists or immunes everything. Ground types immune 2 of the moves, so that's where the benefits come in from using the ground types. The Sun types will mostly get wiped out by the discharges. First up, we have our ground attempt. I shouldn't say attempt, we cleared it first try, but it was definitely a lot sketchier than we expected, mostly because we didn't realize that the stat reductions were not actually going through. We hazed them, and then we realized they were doing like 2 or 3% damage. It didn't make any sense. So that we quickly learned that the Cotton Guard was not wiped off. Leading Excadrill, leading Tailwind. Tailwind's useful. You have to worry about the Whimsicott Tailwind, so having Tailwind up most of the fight is probably the move. If you're using ground types, it'll be difficult to predict when you'll be able to get in. So if everyone has a Prankster Murkrow to set Tailwind, that'll be useful. Don't click haze like we did here. Not worth it. Apologies on the chat on the right side. I was live streaming while I was doing this. I will probably try to live stream tomorrow's raid, which should be Steelix. A much more opportune time. So look out for that if you do want to tune in. Marowak, not the best option here. It just does too little damage. But if that's your only ground type, so be it. You'll see that once the Excadrills get in, they kind of live forever. Our left and right Excadrill, I think, live for a really long time. We weren't able to get Tailwind up, I think, at one point here. But from here on out, the rest of the fight is basically just chipping away with Earthquake, keeping Tailwind up, trying to still deal with the Ampharos outspeeding. The one advantage I think that the ground type offense has is that even though the Ampharos starts to outspeed, you're resisting most things, aside from like Flygon is taking, that's how you put percentage battle chat up. I had to explain that to chat. And then you just live for so much longer, whereas most of the Sun type offense is just getting one hit KO'd after the plus special attack boost. But Excadrill definitely carry. If you don't have the Excadrill, then the Sun might be the better offense. Just going to pause here. We'll go to the next one. And so we led Sun. We kind of going right into it here. We had a Darmanitan early. Didn't really matter. Cotton Guard's not up yet. We had Typhlosions come in. It might be better to not use Eruption, depending on what your ads are. If you get a Whimsicott in, it just trolls you. Well, you'll watch this Whimsicott just stun us and set Tailwind, stun Spore us and set Para. So maybe avoid, if you are going the Sun route, avoid hitting ads unless you want to get rid of them. If you don't want to gamble and getting a Whimsicott, definitely makes the fight a little bit more difficult. So would recommend not killing ads if they are not hurting you all that badly. Charizard hits cap pretty easily. I Flamethrower, Flame Plate under Sun, hit damage cap. The rest of the cast of the Sun offense needs a little bit more to get to damage cap. So that's a point of consideration. I think my Life Orb bulk does not hit cap with Overheat, so tough to say exactly where that is. But you want to intermingle things like the Modest Flygon you see on screen. You'll see a Nidoqueen at some point still. Nidoking still very good. So it'd be a mixture of those things, and you can always lead with your physical ground type attackers as well. One option would be potentially to just go all Excadrills at the front, and then after that, you can then set Sun for the later portion of the fight to deal with the Cotton Guard. So you'll be doing 6%. The trade-off obviously is those ground types that are only doing 3% can live multiple turns and do a lot of damage. It might be a slower strategy, maybe a bit more reliable. Just kind of wanted to present both options. Neither really came out as a clear winner. I thought that Sun was going to be a lot better when we were testing it. Really wasn't that much better. Overall, both are very effective. We cleared both. Didn't fail either attempt. So I leave it up to you. If you've got the mons to do Sun and you can find other people that want to do it that way, an option. If you've got all the ground types, especially if you have that Excadrill, that's going to be the key to enabling the ground type offense to working. And obviously you can kind of mix and match both, whatever you got. Charizard definitely leading the way for the Sun offense. And then if you've got any of those special type ground attackers, can't stress enough how useful they are. So that's, again, Flygon, Nidoqueen, Nidoking. I think Garchomp can even be used if you've got a special Garchomp with Earth Power. So yeah, good luck. This is definitely the most challenging raid that we've seen so far in the event, and have a good one. See you tomorrow.